Good evening, everyone. We're going to start and continue with our discussions on credit transactions. We've already started with comodatum, and we are with the obligations of the Bailey, particularly Article 1942. And I know that you know that we're done with this article. So, ito lang yung marker natin for this uh, recording, no? So let's proceed with Article 1943. Article 1943 states that the bailee does not answer for the deterioration of the thing, loan due only to the use thereof, and without default. So this means that in case of a comodatum, the bailee will not be liable in case of the deterioration of the thing, which is caused primarily of its use. Siyempre, we already discussed before that in case of comodatum, okay, ang hinihiram mo is thing, di ba? Kapag comodatum, ang hinihiram mo is thing. And kapag thing yan, ang hinihiram mo lang dyan really is its use. So, since ginamit mo siya and the bailor allowed you to use it, you will not be liable for its normal wear and tear. Meaning, kapag sinabi natin normal wear and tear, yung normal deterioration dahil nagamit mo. 'Di ba? Kung gulong yan, kung part ng giniram mo is merong gulong, malamang part din naman um, ng resulta or mangyayari dun sa paggamit mo dun sa, say for example, a bicycle is medyo mapupudpud ng konti yung gulong. So, that is part of the use and you will not be liable for that as the bailee or as a person na humiram. Okay, as long as it is really within the normal use and it has and that you has no fault. So wala kang pagkakamali or wala kang kasalanan dun sa uh, paggamit na yun. Talagang resulta lang siya ng normal na wear and tear ng bagay na hiniram mo. Let's proceed to Article 1944. The bailee cannot retain the thing loaned on the ground that the bailor owes him something even though it may be by reason of expenses. So let's stop there and let's discuss first the first sentence of Article 1944. Who is the person concerned? It's the bailee. He cannot retain. So there is no right of retention on the ground that the bailor or owes him something, even though it may be by reason of expenses. Let's say, for example, uh, A and B. A is the bailor. Okay, siya yung nagpahiram. And B is the bailee. Siya yung humiram. Okay? Let's say for example, si B, meron siyang pinautang 2 years ago kay A in the amount of 10,000 at hindi niya pa yon nababayaran. Okay? Now, the mere fact that the bailee, okay, or the bailee has credit over bailor or the bailor owes something to the bailee does not mean na kapag kukunin na ni bailor yung gamit, pwedeng i-retain ni bailee. No. In this case, walang no right of retention si bailee. Ang sabi pa nga ng batas is even though the debt may be by reason of expenses. Let's say for example, humiram si Bailey ng bike, let's stick with the bike of Baylor, and meron siyang nagastos na let's say for example 5,000 na extraordinary expense, okay, para dun sa bike, para ma-save yung bike, okay, pwede kasi itong 5,000 na ginastos ni Bailey na extraordinary expense, pwede niyang i-claim kay A. Pero that does not mean na kapag meron siyang 5,000 na binayaran on extraordinary expense, that does not mean that Bailey has a right of retention over the bike of the bailor. So, hindi niya pwedeng i-retain yun hanggang sa mabayaran. You relate this with your concept when we talk about an unpaid seller, di ba? An unpaid seller has the right of retention. Meaning, kung hindi ka pa bayad na buo as unpaid seller, pwede mong i-retain yung gamit, hindi mo siya i-deliver completely, di ba? Pwede mong i-retain. Under this circumstance naman sa comodatum, the bailee does not have a right of retention. That is the general rule. Okay? That's the general rule. Walang right of retention. However, so let's proceed to the second sentence. However, the bailee has a right of retention for damages mentioned in Article 1951. So dito natin didiscuss yung 1951. So makita nyo later on sa lecture natin, hindi na natin itatouch ang 1951 kasi we already tackled it under 1944. So, what are the circumstances wherein there exists a right of retention on the part of the bailee? The bailor, who knowing the flaws of the ting loan, does not advise the bailee of the same, shall be liable to the latter for the damages he may suffer by reason thereof. So, the general rule, guys, is there is no right of retention in comodatum on the part of bailee, but except if the bailee has a right for damages in case of violation of Article 1951. Meaning, the bailor knows the flaws of the ting loan. So let's stick with the bike, di ba? Let's stick with the bike. A and B. Si A yung nagpahiram ng bike kay B. Okay? So, pinahiram niya, hindi niya sinabi na sira na pala yung bike, no? Na mapuputol na pala yung kadena. Pero alam niya na yun. Pero hindi niya sinabi kay B na hiram. So, pinahiram niya. Although alam niya na yun na konting galaw na lang, mapuputol na yung kadena. Okay? So, ginamit ni B and B then unknowingly used that, and after some time, na-disgrasya. Okay? Nasira yung bike, na sugatan pa si B. So, in those instances, okay, any form of damages that B may experience by reason thereof, okay, he may claim from A. Not only that, meron din siyang right of retention, meaning pwede niyang i-retain yung bike. Okay, so yun yung right of retention. So general rule, walang right of retention except if for reason of damages on the fault of the bailor. When there are two or more bailees to whom a thing is loaned in the same contract, they are liable solidarily. Okay? This one is a very basic provision. Sabi niya dito, there are two or more bailees. So si A, si bailor, okay, si bailor, wait, mahirap magsulat. Si A, si bailor, tapos si B, tsaka si C yung bailees. Let's say for example. Okay? Ngayon, to whom a thing is loaned. So, let's presume na isang bagay lang to. Let's say for example, a laptop. Laptop yung pinahiram ni A kay B tsaka kay C. Okay? So, even if there are two or more bailees, they are liable solidarily. Meaning, in case that this thing will be lost, okay, B and C will be liable to A solidarily. Meaning, any one of them may pay the whole amount of the laptop. So, hindi siya joint. Kapag sinabi nating joint kasi, si B at saka si C, hati sila. So, 50-50. Hati sila. Yan ang joint. Okay? But, here under 1945, they are liable solidarily. So, pwedeng si B lang magbayad nung buong amount, okay? Or si C lang. Okay? Basta in both instances, dapat mabayaran mo si bailor. Okay? Ngayon, kung binayaran ni B yung buo, pwede niya i-claim yung 50% later on kay C. Same with C, kung binayaran niya yung buo, pwede niya i-claim later on yung 100% kay B, ay yung 50% kay B. So, yan yung ibig sabihin lang ng 1945. Kapag dalawang Baileys, ibig sabihin kapag nagpahiram ka ng gamit sa dalawang tao, isang gamit lang, isang gamit sa dalawang tao, yung dalawang tao na yan liable sa iyo solidarity. Kahit sino pwede mong singilin dun sa amount ng bagay na yun kung mawala. Okay? Now, let's proceed with section 3, obligations of the bailor. I believe this is the last section under comodatum. Okay? So let's proceed. Article 1946, the bailor cannot demand the return of the thing loaned till after the expiration of the period stipulated or after the accomplishment of the use for which the comodatum has been constituted. So let's go first with the first sentence of Article 1946. So si bailor daw, A is our bailor, so always si A yan. Si B, si Bailey, siya yung humiram. Okay? The bailor cannot demand the return of the thing loaned till after the expiration of the period stipulated or after the accomplishment of the use for which it was borrowed. No? So meaning, the general rule under Article 1946 is hindi pwedeng i-demand ni bailor, okay, yung return ng thing kung hindi pa nagagawa yung purpose or yung use or hindi pa nag-expire yung period. Kung merong period, let's say for example, sinabi, hiramin ko for 1 month, hiramin ko for 10 days. Okay, hanggang di pa nag-expire, hindi pwedeng i-demand na maibalik na yun. Okay, so hindi yun pwedeng gawin ni bailor. So let's proceed with the second sentence. However, if in the meantime, he should have urgent need of the thing, he may demand its return or temporary use. So, anong ibig sabihin niyan? Okay, so in accommodatum, nagpahiram ka ng gamit or humiram ka ng gamit. Either yung gamit na yan, merong purpose na gagamitan mo or merong period na stipulate mo na ibabalik mo. No? So, on the part of the bailor naman, pinahiram niya yan kasi hindi niya kailangan, hindi niya pa kailangan. Okay, let's say for example, meron siyang 2 sasakyan. Since pupunta siya ng Manila, hindi niya pa gagamitin yung isa, pwede niyang ipahiram sa'yo kung gusto niya. No? So, let's say for example, pinahiram niya sa'yo, pumunta siya ng Manila. Okay, so may usapan kayo na after 1 month pa ibabalik yung gamit. So, na 1 month pa ibabalik yung sasakyan. So, okay lang, no? Hindi niya yan pwedeng basta-basta i-demand na ibalik sa'yo kasi may usapan kayo na 1 buwan yan sa'yo. Okay? But, if let's say for example, nagkaroon ng emergency, kailangan itakbo yung family ni A, okay, at wala silang sasakyan na magamit at kailangan niyang gamitin yung sasakyan na pinahiram niya sa iyo. Because of the urgency, of the necessity, okay, so the thing is, pwede niyang i-demand na ibalik yan pansamantala. Okay? So, yun lang yung exception. That is the exception under 1946. So, recap tayo on the first paragraph. Okay? General rule, hindi pwedeng i-demand ni bailor na ibalik yung gamit. Okay? Kapag hindi pa nag-expire yung period or kapag hindi pa na-accomplish yung use or yung purpose. Except if there is an urgent need of the thing on the part of the bailor. Then, in that case, the bailor may demand the return of the thing or its temporary use. Okay? So, second paragraph tayo. In case of a temporary use by the bailor, so, temporary use na to. So, hiniram niya na. Meaning, kinuha niya muna yung gamit sa'yo. The contract of comodatum is suspended. while the thing is in possession of the bailor. So, ibig sabihin, let's say for example, stick tayo dun sa unang example natin kanina, pinahiram ni A kay B yung sasakyan niya. Okay, for 1 month. After 10 days, uh, merong emergency, kailangan gamitin ni A yung sasakyan na pinahiram niya kay B, hiniram niya yung sasakyan kay B. Kinuha niya ulit, no? So, for 5 days niya yung ginamit, no? Meaning, for 5 days din, suspended yung contract of comodato. Meaning, dun sa isang buwan na meron si B, or sa 30 days na meron si B, 10 days pa lang yung nagamit niya, yung 5 days na ginamit na temporary use ni A, hindi yun makakount dun sa 30 days ni B. Okay? So, meron pa siyang 20 days. So, hindi yun magagalaw. Okay? So, parang temporarily suspended kapag kinuha niya temporarily yung use or yung gamit. So, that is with regards to the right to demand the return of the thing. Okay? 1947, the bailor may demand the thing at will, and the contract relation is called a precarium. This one I already mentioned in our previous discussion about comodatum, no? A precarium is a special class of comodatum, no? Dito naman sa precarium kasi, the bailor may demand the thing at will. So, very precarious yung situation ni Bailey. Why? Kasi he's only using the thing without knowing the knowledge, without knowing, I should say, if kailan kukunin ni Baylor yung gamit. No? Hindi niya alam kung hanggang kailan na lang yung right niya, pero ginagamit niya yun. Okay, so gaya nga ng sabi natin kanina and sabi ko before in our previous discussions, when we talk about comodatum, no? Kapag comodatum yan, meron niyang period or meron siyang purpose na gustong maatim. No? Hindi niya ibabalik yun hanggat hindi niya magawa yung purpose niya. Okay? Dito naman, walang period, walang, there is no duration, wala ding purpose o wala ding use na sinabi na panggagamitan. Kaya siya precarium. Okay? Or, if the use of the thing is merely tolerated. So, how can we say that the use is merely tolerated? Hindi pinahiram sa'yo. Let's say, for example, hiniram mo yung libro ng kaklase mo. Pero hindi mo sa kanya hiniram. Kinuha mo lang sa klase. Let's say, for example, nag-aaral kayo, kinuha mo yung sa klase. Hindi niya alam na hiniram mo. No? So, tapos, nalaman niya, wala siyang ginawa. So, hinayaan niya lang. So, that is tolerance. Okay? You tolerated. You merely tolerated that. Kasi wala kayong original agreement. Wala naman kayong usapan kailangan mo ibabalik. Wala naman kayong usapan na kailangan mong gamitin para saan. Wala namang purpose. Wala ding use. Okay? So, that is mere tolerance. Therefore, yung paghiram mo na yan is what you call precarium. You don't call it comodatum in its general sense, you call it precarium. Why? Because your possession, kumbaga precarious yung possession mo dun sa gamit. No? So let's proceed with Article 1948. The bailor may demand the immediate return of the thing if the bailee commits any act of ingratitude specified in Article 765. Okay? So, kanina sabi natin, the bailor cannot demand the return of the thing if hindi pwedeng i-demand yung return ng thing if hindi pa expired yung period or hindi pa na-accomplish yung use. So, wala siya actually right na mag-demand dun sa thing. No? Pero, pwede niyang i-demand na ibalik kaagad yan if si Bailey daw ay may ginawa na acts of ingratitude. What are acts of ingratitude? This is found under Article 765. This is under the law on donation. Okay? pero you apply it here on the law commodatum. So ano nga ba itong mga acts of ingratitude na to? If the bailee should commit some offense against the person, the honor, or the property of the bailor or his wife or children under parental authority. Meaning, let's say for example, si A yung bailor, si B yung bailee. No? Let's say for example, si A, let's stick with our example, pinahiram niya yung bike niya kay B. No? Tapos later on, nalaman ni A na si B nasagasaan yung asawa ni A or sinipa niya yung anak ni A. So, pwede niyang i-demand yung immediate return. That's the use in common sense lang kumbaga ng example natin. Okay? So, hindi lang kay A mismo. So, pwedeng si B, nagkaroon sila ng hindi pagkakaintindihan ni A. Okay? Sinuntok niya si A or tinreten niya, pwedeng i-demand ka agad ni A yung ibalik yung bike. And there's nothing wrong with that. Bakit mo ipapahiram yung isang bagay sa isang tao na have committed an offense against you? That's just not right, okay? Number 2, if the bailee imputes to the bailor, imputes siya any criminal offense or any act involving moral turpitude, even though he should prove it, unless the crime or the act has been committed against the bailee himself, his wife, or his children under his authority. So let's go first with the first phrase. If the bailee imputes to the bailor any criminal offense or any act involving moral turpitude, even though he should prove it. Meaning, si bailee daw, okay, sinasabi niya, pinaparatang niya na may ginawang kabalbalan itong si A. So, he imputes that A committed a criminal offense. So, sinasabi niya na, let's say, for example, si A, nagnanakaw yan. Si A may pinatay yan. Alam ko yan kasi kaibigan niya ako. Alam ko kung saan niya tinapon yung bangkay, ganyan-ganyan. So, on that ground alone, A can demand the immediate return of the thing. Diba? You imagine din naman, pinahiram mo tapos sasabihan ka ng ganun. So, ini-impute niya sa iba na you are doing a criminal offense, no? Or any act involving moral turpitude. Si A, sobrang sama niya na tao. Alam mo ba, ganito ang ginawa niyan, ganyan-ganyan. No? So, hindi pwede yun. If ginawa yan ni bailee, pwedeng i-demand ni A yung immediate return of the thing. Unless, sabi dito, there's an exemption, the crime or the act has been committed against the bailee himself, his wife, or children. So, let's say, for example, yan si A, sinubukan akong nakawan. Kung si B mismo yung nakawan, hindi pwedeng i-demand ni A yung return ng thing. Okay? Kung hindi naman si B, pero yung asawa niya o yung anak niya, hindi niya pa rin pwedeng i-demand yung immediate return ng thing. Kahit pa nag-impute si B regarding kay A. Okay? So, doon pwedeng hindi pwedeng immediate return ng thing. Third, if he unduly refuses him support when the bailee is legally or morally bound to give support to the bailor. So let's say for example, si A is an ascendant of B, meaning mas matanda si A pero relative sila. Let's say for example, tito ito is pamangkin, binigyan ng bike, okay? Pinahiraman ng bike, okay? Ngayon, si tito humingi ng tulong na, let's say for example, magbantay sa kanilang bahay. Ito naman si B, wala naman siyang ginagawa, pwede silang bantayan. Pero he unduly refuses him support, okay? Take note now, when the bailee is legally, when we say legally, there is a provision in the law, meron sa law na bound ka to support someone. Okay? Morally naman, wala sa batas. Meaning, moral obligations mo lang, ikaw na pagkatao mo, sa moralidad mo, Let's say, for example, di ba yan, kaya pamangkin sa tito. Of course, somehow, lalo na kung close kayo ng tita mo, somehow, you are morally bound to support your family or your relatives, di ba? Ultimo, tito, pinsan, kapatid, we support it morally, lalo na sa atin, sa mga Filipino, we have close family ties, no? We are morally bound, kahit walang batas, no? Nagsasabi na, dapat nating suportahan yan, okay? Dapat tayong mag-contribute para sa kanya, no? Hindi. Walang law na ganun. We are just morally bound by our customs and traditions or moralities, no? So if you unduly refuse someone, okay, that you are legally or morally bound to support, pwedeng bawiin sa yan ni Baylor. Okay? So, yan yung 1948. 1949, the bailor shall refund the extraordinary expenses during the contract for the preservation of the thing loaned, provided that the bailee brings the same to the knowledge of the bailor before incurring them. Ito muna tayo, masyadong mahaba. Kasi kapag masyadong mahaba, mahirap siyang intindihin at magugulo ang inyong mga pag-iisip. Sabi natin before, the bailee is not liable in case of ordinary expenses, no? Meaning yung mga expenses dun sa mga gamit, ganyan, hindi siya liable kasi that is the result of the normal use of the thing. But if it's extraordinary expense, no? Kapag extraordinary expense, meaning hindi na dahil sa normal use yun. So talagang masisira na siya. Kung hindi mo siya ayusin, masisira siya. Kaya siya extraordinary expense. Hindi siya yung simpleng palit lang ng gulong, palit lang ng isang parte na nanaluma. Ito yung para ma-save mo yung thing, para ma-preserve mo yung thing, i-incur mo siya. Therefore, sa extraordinary expense, hindi rin liable si bailee. Sinong liable? Si bailor. Why? Kasi siya naman na may-ari, no? Provided, ang sabi lang dito, provided that the bailee brings the same to the knowledge of the bailor before incurring them. Meaning, dapat si bailee i-notify niya si bailor. Okay? I-notify niya before niya gagastusin yung extraordinary expense, i-notify niya muna dapat si bailor. Okay? So, dapat hindi liable si bailee basta i-notify niya muna si bailor bago mag-incur ng extraordinary expense. Okay? Except when they are so urgent that the reply to the notification cannot be awaited without danger. So, there is an exception. So, the general rule is in case of extraordinary expense, okay, the bailee shall not be liable. Instead, the bailor shall refund to the bailee the amount incurred for the extraordinary expense, provided the bailee must first notify the bailor of the expense bago niya incur. Except if urgent na naman. If, let's say for example, hindi na dapat patagalin, kailangan ng palitan para maayos, para ma-save yung gamit, hindi na kailangan ng notification. Kasi useless na, mamaya ni-notify niya, hintayin niya pa yung reply dun sa notification kung papayag si bailor na ayusin or hindi. Nawala na yung gamit or talagang nasira na, hindi na maayos. So, hindi pwede yun, okay? So, if the extraordinary expenses arise on the occasion of the actual use of the thing by the bailee, even though he acted without fault, they shall be borne equally by both the bailor and the bailee. Dito, yung sa first paragraph, guys, itong sa first paragraph, extraordinary expense lang siya. Okay? Meaning, extraordinary expense for the preservation para ma-save yung thing. But if the extraordinary expense arise, okay, out of the actual use, okay, meaning dahil sa paggamit ng ni Bailey, nasira to the point na kumbaga nasobrahan ng paggamit, ika nga, no? Parang na-abuse siguro, or hindi naman siguro na-abuse, so overuse lang, no? No overuse, nasira, kailangan gumastos ng extraordinary expense. Okay, sino ang liable dyan? Equally, even though the Bailey acted without, kahit pa good faith, si Baylor, good faith si Bailey, liable silang dalawa. Why? Because they will benefit, di ba? Let's say for example, dito kasi sa una, tapos na yung contract of comodatum, so ibabalik niya na. Therefore, any extraordinary expense shall be refunded by the Baylor to the Bailey. Di ba? Lahat ng nagastos niya, i-refund ni Baylor. Okay, dito naman, during the actual use, nasira at kailangan ayusin. Ibig sabihin, let's say for example, 30 days yung pinag-usapan na ipapahiram sa'yo. On the 15th day pa lang, nasira na ng sobra-sobra at kailangan ng maayos, nag-incur ka na extraordinary expense, meron ka pang 15 days na gamitin. No? So, ibig sabihin, kung mapapaayos mo yan, ikaw na Bailey, ikaw na humiram, you will benefit from that kasi meron ka pang 15 days para gamitin. And you as the Baylor, since ikaw ang may-ari, you will benefit from that. Kaya, ang liable is both equally. Okay? I hope that's clear. Both kayo equally na liable. There is an exception unless there is a stipulation to the contrary. Meaning, there is a different agreement. Okay? Article 1950. If for the purpose of making use of the thing, the Bailey incurs expenses other than those referred to in Article 1941, we're talking about ordinary expenses. And Article 1949, we're talking about extraordinary expenses, he is not entitled to reimbursement. So ano pa ba yung other expenses na pwedeng incur ni Bailey? Dito mo pwedeng ipasok siguro yung mga luxurious expenses, yung mga unnecessary expenses. Diba? Hindi naman kailangan. Hindi naman siya, it does not add value to the thing, or it does not help in its preservation, or it does not significantly improve the condition of the thing. No? Therefore, in this case, the Bailey is not entitled for reimbursement. Okay? So kahit pa ipa-claim niya yan kay Baylor, uy, bayaran mo naman to kasi ito, ginawa ko, dinesignan ko, pinaganda ko. Hindi. No? Kasi in the first place, hindi naman yan kailangan. Pinahiram lang yan sa'yo para gamitin mo. Okay? Wala naman sa usapan niya yung pagandahin yan eh. No? Hindi naman, wala naman ito sa usapan eh. So, kung ginastos mo yan, that is your own expense. Hindi mo pwedeng ipabayad kay Baylor. Okay? Yun lang yung 1950. 1951, we already discussed kanina. No? 1952, the Baylor cannot exempt himself from the payment of expenses or damages by abandoning the thing to the Bailey. Di ba? Let's say, for example, A and B. Same suspects tayo. A as the Baylor, B as the Bailey. Si A, pinahiram niya yung bike pa rin kay B. No? Let's say, for example, throughout the use ni B, nag-incur siya ng 50,000. Masyado malaki kasi 50,000. So, for example, nag-incur siya ng 10,000 na expenses na pwedeng i-refund niya kay A. So, pwede niyang singilin kay A. Ngayon, dumating yung time na sisingilan na ni B si A with regards to the expenses. Ayaw na ni A. Sabi niya, hindi, wag na lang. Sa'yo na lang itong bike. Could that be possible under the law? Hindi pwede. Baylor cannot exempt himself from payment of expenses by abandoning to the thing to the Bailey. Why? Kasi parang, ano na yan eh, parang sale na yan nangyari dyan eh, di ba? Hindi lang siya sale, kundi parang exchange na rin, kumbaga. So, hindi siya pwede, no? Hindi pwedeng, wag ko na lang kunin yung gamit, sa'yo na lang yung gamit. Since meron ka namang na-incur na expenses, hindi pwede yun. Okay? So, hindi pwede yun, guys. Okay. Simple loan or mutuum? Let's try to finish guarantee para next meeting we'll start with mortgage, pledge, and antique-resist para matapos na natin, no? Okay. Let's simple loan or mutuum. So we all know the difference between a mutuum and a comodatum, no? So mutuum is a loan of money, comodatum is a loan of thing. So under Article 1953, a person who receives a loan of money or any other fungible thing acquires the ownership. So this is one of the differences between mutuum and comodatum. Dito, there is a transfer of ownership and is bound to pay to the creditor an equal amount of the same kind and quality, no? Hindi lang naman kasi money ang niloan mo dito, any other fungible thing. So, kung fungible thing yan, hindi money, you must return it with the same kind and quality. If it's money, you return it with the equal amount. Of course, if there is a provision for interest, you are liable for interest. 1954, a contract whereby one person transfers the ownership of non-fungible things to another with the obligation on the part of the latter to give things of the same kind shall be considered a barter. So, hindi siya pwedeng maging mutuum. Di ba, ang sabi natin before, if you can recall, comodatum. Ang comodatum is a loan of a thing, di ba? That is non-fungible, no? So non-fungible. So dapat ito hindi yung mga nako-consume, hindi yung mga fungible ang pinapaloan mo. Pero nabanggit natin before na let's say for example, nagpa-loan ka ng alak for exhibition purposes, kahit pa fungible thing yan, that can be considered as comodatum since hindi mo naman siya i-consume, di ba? Since hindi siya for consumption. So, pwede siya as comodatum. Pero, in this case, sa mutuum naman, dapat money lang siya, peso, money lang, or fungible thing. Kapag nagpa-loan ka ng non-fungible thing dito sa kapag nagpa-loan ka ng non-fungible thing, it cannot be considered as mutuum. Hindi siya pwede maging mutuum. Okay? Ang pwede lang dyan, either pumasok siya as comodatum or maging barter. Kasi kung comodatum, walang transfer ng ownership. Pero kung yung agreement nyo is parang comodatum pero may transfer ng ownership, my God, that's not mutuum, that's barter. Barter siya. Okay? Why? Kasi ang isa sa nature ng mutuum is merong transfer ng ownership. So I hope you were able to follow that, no? So kapag sa mutuum, hindi ka pwedeng magpa-loan ng non-fungible things. Okay? So, meaning kung nagpa-loan ka ng non-fungible thing, dalawa lang yan. Either maging comodatum yan or barter. Kung may transfer ng ownership, that is comodatum. Kung walang transfer ng ownership, that is comodatum. Kung merong transfer ng ownership, that is barter. Okay? I hope that's clear. 1955, the obligation of person who borrows money shall be governed by the provisions of Article 1249 and 1250. If what was loaned is a fungible thing other than money, the debtor owes another of the same kind, quality. Ito, we have already discussed this one. even if it should change the value. In case it is impossible to deliver the same kind, its value at the time of the perfection shall be paid. No? Ito naman, since you borrowed the fungible thing, okay, what you borrowed in the mutuum is a fungible thing, and hindi mo may balik yung thing with same kind and quality, pwede mo na lang siyang bayaran. So you are going to return the amount or the value of the thing. Okay? No interest shall be due, meaning if there is no stipulation for interest, no stipulation for interest, no interest. Okay, that's the general rule, unless it has been expressly stipulated in writing. So, interest must be stipulated in writing. So, normally ito kasi under mutuum, no? Sa mutuum naman, unlike comodatum, hindi siya gratuitous, di ba? Sa comodatum kasi gratuitous. Kung ano yung binigay mo na gamit, yun lang yung ibabalik mo. Walang dagdag yun. Kasi kung may dagdag yun, ibang contract na yun, di ba? Kung nagbayad ka kung meron kang binayaran kasi ginamit mo yun, that's rent. That's lease. Okay, dito kasi, sa mutuum kasi, walang interest kung wala talaga interest, pero liable lang siya sa interest kung merong stipulation for interest. Okay? Contracts and stipulations under any cloak or device, whatever intended to circumvent the laws against usury shall be void. The borrower may recover in accordance with the laws of usury. Okay? This one, hindi na to applicable. Why? Because the usury law has been suspended, no? So there's no usury. At this point in time, walang usury. You can raise ang usury kasi these are laws. Usury laws are laws enacted to prevent imposing high interest rates, no? Gaya sa 5-6, yung mga 7%, 8%, 10% na interest. Before kasi bawal yan. But since the usury laws has been suspended, pwede na kahit gaano kataas. Okay, so wala na itong 1957. In the determination of the interest, if it is payable in kind, its value shall be appraised at the current price of the products or goods at the time and place of payment. So, since we're talking about interest and something and the thing is payable in kind kasi fungible thing yan, okay, at hindi pera ang usapan nyo, kundi gamit. So, paano mo measure nga yung gamit? So, ma-measure mo siya dun sa appraised value or the current price at the time and place of payment. Simple as that. So, wala namang anything na hindi maintindihan dyan. So, since kung pera yan, walang problema with the amount of interest kasi percent lang nun. 3%, 4%, 5% ng pera. Pero kung 10%, sabi niya, pero ang hiniram mo is something that is fungible, suka or wine, no? How will you compute the 10% interest on the wine? So, magbalik ka ng kalahating basong wine? Ng isang basong wine? No. Hindi ganon, no? Siyempre, interest. Siyempre, hiniram mo is fungible thing. Dapat fungible thing din yung interest. No. Dapat, value niya at the time and place of payment. So, yun yung babalik mo. Okay? Hindi yung kalahating baso ng suka or ng wine. Okay? 1959, without prejudice to the provisions of Article 2212, interest due and unpaid shall not earn interest. Okay? So what is Article 2212? Sa kasi sabi niya dito, without prejudice to the provisions of Article 20 to 12 is, interest due shall earn legal interest from the time it is judicially demanded, although the obligation may be silent upon this point. So meaning, interest shall only earn legal interest. When we say legal interest, okay, iba pa yan dun sa stipulated interest. So, it will earn legal interest only upon judicial demand. This is not any normal demand. This is judicial demand. Hindi siya extrajudicial demand. So when we say judicial demand, this is a demand made through the court. Okay? So kung hindi pa court yung demand, that is not a judicial demand. It will not earn legal interest. But you may be liable for interest still. Okay? However, the contracting parties may by stipulation capitalize the interest due and unpaid, which is added principal, shall earn new interest. So, sabi dito, the parties may by stipulation capitalize the interest due and unpaid. So, meaning, there is a stipulation, okay, under their agreement, under their mutuum agreement, that any interest unpaid will form part of the principal. Meaning, it will form part of the whole obligation. Okay? Meaning, kapag ganyan daw ang stipulation, it will earn new interest. Siyempre, kasi naging part na siya ng principal. Take note, sa mutuum or sa utang, okay, sa mutuum, meron dalawang parts yan. Meron yung principal, which is the money that you initially borrowed, diba? The money that you initially borrowed, and the interest it earns. No? Itong principal is different from the interest. Okay? 1960. If the borrower pays interest when there has been no stipulation therefore. If the borrower pays interest when there has been no stipulation therefore. So, walang stipulation. Pero nagbayad ka ng interest. Anong sabi ng batas? The provision of this code concerning solution indemnity or natural obligation shall be applied as the case may be. So, in the first place, why will you pay interest if wala namang stipulation? Siguro masyado ka lang mabait. Or, akala mo may interest, yun pala wala. So, in good faith, magbayad ka ng interest. Therefore, you apply the law of solution indemnity, you can claim it back. You can ask for a refund, you can reclaim that interest that you have paid, applying the provisions of solution indemnity. Meaning, no one shall be unjustly rich, okay, to the prejudice of another person. Okay, so that's Article 1960. Usurer's contract shall be governed by the usury law. Article 1961 is no longer applicable. Why? Kasi meron ng suspended na ang usury law. Now, let's proceed to guarantee. So, what are we going to talk about guarantee? So, we're done with the loan. Okay, yung una nating topic, loan, which is basically comodatum, loan of a thing, of a non-fungible thing, or mutuum, loan of money or loan of fungible thing. So, you must know its differences. So, madali lang naman siyang decipher, no? Now, let's proceed with guarantee. So, credit transactions ito, yung comodatum tsaka yung mutuum, those are principal contracts. Okay, meaning they are the main contract, no? Itong guarantee is what you call an accessory contract. Meaning, uh, accessory lang siya, no? Meaning, merong principal contract, whether mutuum yan or pero mutuum na lang, loan. Merong loan ng money, okay? In order to secure a loan or to strengthen, in order to strengthen your credit or to strengthen the trust of the bailor to you, you need to execute an accessory contract. And the first accessory contract that we're going to discuss is guarantee. Okay, so hindi siya yan yung principal contract, siya lang yung mag-i-strengthen ng credit. Para mapautang ka, kailangan mo ng guarantor. Why? Kasi yung guarantor is another person na habulin nila. Okay, and si guarantor, siya yung magsasabi kay creditor na, oo, may pera yan, kaya niya yung bayaran. You are assuring the creditor. You are assuring the bailor na mababayaran ni bailee o ni debtor. Ikaw si guarantor. Okay? So that is guarantee. No? Let's talk about Let's talk about chapter 1, the nature and extent of guarantee. No? So Article 2047, by guarantee a person called the guarantor, dapat pala may kama dito. By guarantee, a person called the guarantor binds himself to the creditor to fulfill the obligation of the debtor in case the latter should fail to do so. So what is this? What is this? No? Yung kanina example lang natin si A tsaka si B. No? Si bailor, si bailee. Or para hindi kayo malito, si creditor tsaka si debtor. Si nangutang at si nagpa-utang. Okay? Dito sa dalawang ito, merong magga-guarantee. Meaning, let's say for example, si letter G. Si letter G, yung magga-guarantee kay creditor na, oy creditor, oy A, I will bind myself to you. Okay? I guarantee na itong inutang ni B, mababayaran niya on time. Kilala ko yan. Madaming pera yan, madaming ari-arian. Mababayaran niya yung time. Ito yun, si guarantor. Okay? Ang contract na tawag dyan is guarantee. Okay? As clear as that, no? I hope you can follow as clear as that. If a person binds himself solidarily with the principal debtors, the provisions of Section 4, Chapter 3, Title 1 of this book shall be observed. In such case, the contract is called the suretyship. Sir, ano itong suretyship? I-guarantee lang tayo. So, itong suretyship, guys, is a different form of accessory contract. May similarity siya sa guarantor, pero mayroon din siyang major difference. Si guarantor, subsidiarily liable. Take note of this. Meaning, when we say subsidiarily, okay, ang primary liability, let's proceed to this one, dito sa example natin sa guarantee. Ang primarily liable, si B. Kasi siya yung may utang eh. Ikaw lang yung nag-guarantee. Kapag hindi makabayad si B, wala na siyang pambayad at lahat. Doon ka magiging liable. So, sir, in the first place, kung hindi makabayad si B, hindi ka agad liable si guarantor. Yes, hindi ka agad liable si guarantor. Kailangan ma-exhaust mo na yung properties ni B. Kapag walang-wala na yung properties ni B, wala ka na ring wala ka na mahigop kay B. Wala ka na makuha. Doon ka pupunta kay guarantor. Okay? Yun yung subsidiarily. Sa suretyship kasi, ang liability ng isang surety, ang tawag sa suretyship, tawag sa tao ay surety. Ang liable ng isang surety is solidary. What do you mean when you say solidary? I know you know this because you already finished your obligations and contracts, no? Tapos yun ang obligon nyo, so dapat alam nyo nito, no? So solidary, meaning, yun explain ko rin siya kanina, no? You are liable with the debtor. Diba? Sabi dyan, solidarily liable with the principal debtor. So, kung gamitin natin same example sa taas, si surety, okay, kapag naningil si creditor, si A, okay, kapag naningil si A, pwede niyang singilin si B na si debtor or si surety, kahit sino. So, kahit sino. Unlike dito sa guarantee, na hindi niya pwede niyang kasuhan pati si guarantor, pero ang liable lang dyan si B. No? So, ganun sa guarantee. Ang dapat na magbayad na una, si debtor. After niyan, kung wala na or kung wala mabayad si debtor, saka lang maging liable si guarantor. Unlike in a suretyship, no, pwedeng singilin kahit sino. Pwedeng si B, pwedeng si surety. Okay? So I hope that's clear. It's guarantee and suretyship. So guarantor and surety. Okay? So clear tayo dun, ha? A guarantee is gratuitous. Unless, so this one naman provides for stipulation. Ang sabi dito, a guarantee is gratuitous, so walang bayad. Balik tayo dun sa previous article. Yung pag-guarantee niya dun sa utang mo, yung pag-guarantee ni guarantor, yung pag-guarantee niya sa'yo, okay? Kasi ang beneficiary dito si B. Yung pag-guarantee niya sa'yo, gratuitous yan. Unless there is a stipulation to the contrary. Meaning, kung meron kayong agreement na i-guarantee kita, basta dun sa inutang mo, bigyan mo ko 50K, i-guarantee kita. Pwedeng ganun. Or pwedeng ibang bagay or something different. Okay? Generally, basta the general rule is gratuitous ang guarantee. Guarantee, gratuitous. Exception, stipulation. Okay? 2049, a married woman may guarantee an obligation without the husband's consent. Okay, dyan muna tayo since na-phrase siya. A married woman, so kasal na babae, may guarantee an obligation without the husband's consent. This is okay. Walang problema dito. No? Kasi before, napakaluma na, guys, intindihin nyo na, ang luma na ng Civil Code of the Philippines. So, kaya may mga ganitong provision pa. No? A married woman may guarantee an obligation without the husband's consent. Diba? In the first place naman, anyone can guarantee any obligation. No? But since kasal ka, kasi ang tendency kasi kapag kasal ka, baka ma-compromise yung property ng marriage. Lahat ng property ng nyong dalawa as mag-asawa. So, there is a possibility na ma-comprise yan. Pero dito, ang sabi niya, pwedeng mag-guarantee daw si woman without the husband's consent. But shall not thereby bind the conjugal partnership except in cases provided by law. Diba? So, ang iniiwasan kasi dito, diba, let's say for example, nagpakasal kayo, diba, man and woman. You will have, noon kasi conjugal partnership pa, pero ngayon kasi absolute community of property na siya. Meaning lahat ng property na ma-acquire ninyo during your marriage, lahat ng income, lahat ng ari-arian ninyo is sa inyong dalawa. Okay? So, ang tendency kasi yan, kaya iniiwasan yan before is kapag nag-guarantor yung isa, actually kahit sino nga, di ba? Kahit si Mel, pag nag-guarantor yung isa, baka ma-compromise itong property. Pero sinabi niya naman dito, pwedeng mag-guarantee si babae basta hindi maging liable yung partnership. Okay? Yun lang yun. She just that. Okay? 2050, if a guarantee is entered into without the knowledge or consent or against the will of the debtor, the provisions of Article 1236, 1237. So, i-drawing ko na kagad yung scenario. Same tayo. A, si creditor. B, si debtor. And there is a guarantor. Pero this time, the guarantor guaranteed the obligation of B without his knowledge, without his consent, and against his will. So ano nga bang effect kung ganun ang ginawa? Walang knowledge, walang consent, against the will. So ang sabi dito, the creditor is not bound to accept payment or performance by a third person who has no interest in the fulfillment of the obligation unless there is a stipulation to the contrary. Meaning, since ginaranti mo yan na wala namang knowledge si debtor, okay, walang knowledge, walang consent, against the will, okay, hindi bound si creditor na tanggapin yung payment mo later on if hindi makabayad si debtor. Kasi wala namang consent si debtor eh. So, hindi siya, pwedeng tanggapin ni A. Kapag tinanggap ni A, problem solved. Wala na yung utang ni debtor. Simple as that, guys. Pero kapag hindi tinanggap ni A, okay lang. Kasi in the first place, walang knowledge, walang consent. Unless merong stipulation to the contrary. Get, since that is without knowledge, consent, or against the will, hindi bound si creditor na tanggapin yan. Pwede niyang i-deny. Yun ang gustong sabihin ng batas. Pwede niyang i-deny. Whoever pays on behalf of the debtor without the knowledge or against the will of the latter cannot compel the creditor to subrogate him in his rights such as those arising from a mortgage, guarantee, or penalty. Okay? What do we mean when we say that? Let's say, for example, ito, whoever pays on behalf. So, si guarantor, hindi nakabayad si debtor, si guarantor, sabi niya, oh, bayaran ko. Okay? Let's say, for example, kinuha ni A, tinanggap ni A. Under guarantee kasi, kapag tinanggap yan ni A, there will be subrogation. Meron tayong subrogation na tinatawag. Kapag subrogation, yung rights ni A as creditor mapupunta kay guarantor. Therefore, si guarantor na yung sisingil kay debtor. Ganun kasi yun, under guarantee. Okay, but in this case, since this is without the knowledge, consent, or against the will of the debtor, yung pagbayad niya, okay, walang subrogation na mangyayari. So si guarantor, kahit pa binayaran niya yung utang ni debtor, hindi siya magiging creditor ni debtor. Okay, ganun. Walang subrogation. You cannot exercise any right kasi in the first place, hindi ka creditor. In the first place, bakit mo nga naman babayaran yung isang bagay na ayaw namang pabayad ng isa? Okay, so hindi pwede yun. Okay? So, ganun lang yun guys, as simple as that. So, if without knowledge or consent, hindi bound na tanggapin ni creditor yan. Kasi ayaw naman ni debtor na ikaw ang guarantor, tapos ikaw mag-guarantee. Kapag binayaran mo yan, pwedeng i-deny yan ni creditor. Kapag in-accept naman yan ni creditor, hindi ibig sabihin na subrogated ka na sa rights niya, na ikaw na ang creditor ni debtor. No. Kahit patanggapin yan ni creditor, okay, hindi ka magiging creditor sa mata ng batas kay debtor. Why? Kasi in the first place, hindi pumayag si debtor. Article 2051, a guarantee may be conventional, legal, or judicial, gratuitous, or onerous. Okay? So, merong classifications ng guarantee. Lahat yan, madidiscuss natin later. No? Simple na lang naman kasi gratuitous, walang payment. Onerous, burdensome, or merong payment. When we say legal or judicial, legal meaning it is created by law. When we say judicial, it is created by mere order of the court. It may also be constituted not only in favor of the principal debtor, but also in favor of another guarantor. So, in this concept, with the latter consent or without his knowledge. So, in this instance, dito sa second paragraph, meron tayong tinatawag na sub-guarantee. Merong guarantee, meron ding sub-guarantee. Okay, meaning, the sub-guarantor guarantees the guarantor. The guarantor guarantees the debtor, the principal debtor. Diba? So, meron ding sub-guarantee. Okay? Article 2052, a guarantee cannot exist without a valid obligation. Meaning, dito muna tayo sa una. A guarantee cannot exist without an obligation. Ano ang guarantee, guys? Accessory contract. Tama? Tama. Sabi natin kanina, accessory contract siya. Meaning, dependent siya sa principal contract. Ano itong principal contract? Ito yung valid obligation. Therefore, if hindi valid yung obligation or void yan, okay, or hindi nag-i-exist yan kasi nga void, ibig sabihin, void din ang guarantee. Wala ding guarantee. Why? Kasi itong accessory contract, nakadepende lang siya sa principal contract. Okay? Simple as that. Nevertheless, a guarantee may be constituted to guarantee the performance of a voidable, unenforceable, or a natural obligation. What is ang common dito? They exist. They exist. Ito kasi pwedeng not supported by law, but then they exist. Itong sa voidable and enforceable contracts naman kasi, these two contracts are valid. Diba? When we say voidable, it is valid until annulled. Meaning, valid yan, pwede mong gawing void. Pwedeng ma-annul. Itong unenforceable naman, it is valid, okay, until it is, what is the term? Until it is confirmed, okay? Meaning na correct yung impurities ng contract that makes it unenforceable. But then again, even if it's unenforceable, it is still valid. So, since valid pa rin yung obligation, kahit voidable or enforceable yan, valid din yung guarantee. Only when the obligation is void that the guarantee is also void. Okay, so kung void yung obligation, void din yung guarantee. Okay? A guarantee may also be given as a security for future debts, the amount of which is not yet known. So, meaning, it can also guarantee a future debt, okay, even if the amount is not yet known. There can be no claim against the guarantor until the debt is liquidated. Meaning, okay, there could be a guarantee in case of future debts. There could be a guarantee. Okay? But, hindi magiging liable si guarantor unless it is liquidated. When we say liquidated, the amount is already determined. Okay? The amount is already determined. Liquidated na siya. Meaning, alam mo na kung ano liability mo. Hindi ka naman pwedeng maging liable dun sa amount na hindi mo alam. Okay? So, there is a guarantee for future debts, but you will only be actually liable when the debt is already liquidated. Okay? So, I'll end up with that muna. Okay? Sige. Bye.